Hey everybody, welcome back to Eat and Talk. Thank you for joining us again today. I'm really excited for this episode. I want to welcome Ayub Hassan. Ayub, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
You guys, we're going to get into Ayub's story. He's a remarkable young man, and he is the founder of one of our favorite things that we love to drink here on Eat and Talk, which is Shaah, aka Somali Tea. And he created his own Somali tea company called Bluehorn. And I'm really excited to talk about this.
Yes.
I haven't tried it yet, so I'm gonna smell it. And I asked him, I was like, hey, I'm having a networking mixer soon. I was like, can you bring some tea? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So thank you so much for being here today. And I'm really excited to get into this. So yeah, let's get into it. Ayub, tell my viewers, where are you from? Because you're not from Minnesota. Give us your age, give us your background, and let's hear about it.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be here. As everybody knows, I'm Ayub Ahmed. I'm a Somali.
Sorry, did I say Ayub Hassan?
Ayub Ahmed Hassan.
Okay. Sorry,
Right,
just want to make sure I say it right.
So Ayub Hassan, I'm a recent graduate from St. Thomas, and I'm originally from Somalia. Spent some time in Uganda until I moved to the United States in 2017. And I'm 22 years old. I started a company called Bluehorn, and we just want to bring Somali culture to mainstream.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you guys, he's young, like mashallah. And that's what I love about the young men and women in our community. You guys start, and you guys are so creative. And you said that you just came to Minnesota in 2017. And before that, you were back home, and then you lived in Uganda.
Yep.
I want to hear about, like, how was your experience in Uganda? What's Uganda like?
Honestly, if I was to go back, I think I would. I would take the opportunity to go back to Uganda all over again. I think Uganda was that phase where I would call like one of the happiest moments I've had. I think being out of Somalia, technically I was born in Somalia, right? And moving to Uganda, there was like this thing where I had to navigate, right? Learning a new language. I didn't know how to speak English until I moved to Uganda. So navigating that. And then because we lived in such a rural part of Uganda, I think the experience was more authentic. There's a lot of things I used to do. Like I used to like hiking. Right? Mount Elgon is right there. So I used to do that a lot, play soccer. Just like the typical things you'd expect of a kid, right? We didn't have a lot of responsibilities, or most of our day was spent just playing soccer in the field, or pretty much that's it. Like going to school, going to Duxie, and then playing soccer.
Yeah.
That was literally our whole experience.
And that's so nostalgic, and that's the best part of life, right? It was so stress-free and no worries, and especially being in a rural area, I would kill to have something like that right now, a peace of mind.
Yes.
And then did you learn another language outside of English in Uganda?
Yeah, so I learned a little bit of Swahili and then a little bit of Ugandan.
Okay.
And so it was just pretty much like just being part of the community that was the most important aspect of it. And like when I tell you rural, I mean like we didn't have a movie theater there.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Like so as like most people would kind of imagine, like everybody nowadays just spends a lot of time on their computers. Like most kids here have iPads. Like I had to pay for data for me to use internet.
Wow.
So like that was not like our daily activities, right? So we had to be outside. We had to go out there. And I'm not really a curious person.
Good.
Right? Like, I just like being outside. And like, that's what also sort of motivated me to just be curious, be more excited about the opportunities that are out there. And then coming to America was like just this whole new phase where like, hey, now we have the opportunity. Like I remember in Uganda, a lot of us wanted to come to America. Everybody had this like nostalgic idea about America, like this and that. And I came here, I was like, oh, yeah, the roads here are paved, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
right?
there's no
like,
American dream.
like that idea that we had of America was like, hey, like automatically everything will be figured out, like, right? Or like most people still think that coming to America is going to solve most of their problems.
No, it brings more problems.
Honestly, like the more busier I am now, that's why I say like if I was to go back to Uganda, I'll probably take the opportunity to go back. Because like there's less responsibilities, there's less things you have to worry about. Like right now, I think like we never used to drive in Uganda, right? But now I have a car. I have to pay for I have to pay for my gas, pay for my insurance, pay all these things.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could just walk everywhere.
Exactly.
I enjoy walking, right? Like even if it
Yeah.
was like an hour walking, I would do that. But like here does not really facilitate that.
And then I'm sure the weather was a lot
Oh
better.
my God, don't get me
Yeah.
started on that. In
Yeah.
Minnesota, like when I came here, I think I got welcomed with like the snow. And like when people used to tell us like Minnesota is cold, they're like, how cold could it be? So when we were coming here, we just had like jackets and hoodies thinking that we would survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It
when
was
that breeze first
hard.
hit, it wasn't cold, it was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So how were you able to kind of navigate and adapt, especially coming from a whole new continent on the other side of the world?
yeah, honestly, I still don't think I've fully adjusted to it. So coming to America, I didn't know anybody. We had very limited family here, and I went to high school. So in Uganda, I almost graduated high school, and then when I came to America, I was put back in sophomore year.
Wow.
Yeah, so I already knew most of the things. So I tested out from most of the science classes, took some math classes, but I think that's also gave me the opportunity to be a little bit ahead of everybody else. Because I did most of the things, I tested out, and through high school, I think I took AP classes as like people like to call fresh off the boat. But yeah, I took AP classes, did PSU at Normandale. I had an internship at Cargill in high school. I interned for another startup company. Played soccer competitively, and then just then started college. So the adjusting life was just like, we came to America, we had to figure out something to do, and then we just hit the ground running.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hustle and bustle from
Yep.
there. That's amazing. And so now you're graduating this summer. Mashallah. Congratulations. What did you go to school for?
I went to school for entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So this is my third business venture actually since I came.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into it because that's my favorite topic. I'm Miss Entrepreneurs. So, and I didn't even know that they offered like an entrepreneurial degree at your school.
Yep.
That's super cool. So
Yeah.
tell me about all the different business ventures that you went on and
Okay.
why you chose entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's get started of why I chose entrepreneurship. As I said, like, I'm naturally a curious person. I like to figure out how certain things work, and I'm not heavily discouraged by failure. I like to say, like, I've been failing my whole life at so many things. So, like, failure is just accustomed to me now, and the opportunity to create something out of nothing is what, like, really motivated me to go out there and, like, just try different business things. And, yeah, so I started, my first business was a clothing brand called Gochulare. It's still active too. Somebody else is running it now.
Wow.
And then after that, I think we went out, like we kind of went off to start another business called Yeti Detailing Services, which was actually one of my best experiences in business. I think I really got the basics of business figured out. With like the detailing business, I think we started during COVID, where most people were going out of business, and yeah, we got too bored, right? As anybody can imagine, we didn't have a lot of things going on. So when the stimulus money came in during the 2020, like money came in, I think that's when we started flipping cars on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
So from flipping cars, I think then we graduated to opening up our own detail shop.
Wow.
Yeah, and that detailing shop was in Eden Prairie at first. So the whole story behind the detailing shop was like, we had some money from flipping cars. I think we started from 2,000, and then like 6 months later we had like 8,000. So we just rented a facility, didn't know nothing we were doing. We didn't know about the industry, about detailing. We were like, okay, let's just get started. Went in, we started a detailing shop. We like built a website, we built like Google Maps and stuff like that, thinking that people would just figure it out and just come to us. 3 months in, we blew all the money that we had. We were in like almost $15,000 in debt trying to figure
What
it
did
out.
you guys blow it on?
On rent.
Okay.
Like, I think we spent 3 months upfront for lease because like we were so new, and then like we're young, right? So we didn't, like, the guy who was renting us the facility did not really tell us everything we were going on. So when they told us something, we were like, okay, let's just get started. We put all our money into it, and then the remainder of the money was just into buying equipment and stuff like that. So 3 months in, we realized it wasn't working. So we shifted a little bit. We were like, instead of focusing on individual people, we started focusing on dealerships. So that really became really successful. I think first the following 6 months we did 100 grand, and then the other following 6 months we did another 100 grand. So by the end of the year we had 220,000 in revenue.
That's amazing. You guys made 6 figures in your first year. MashaAllah.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, and then you wrapped it up?
Yeah, and then I wrapped it up. I think because school was online, I had the opportunity to take my classes away from class and then do the detailing. So we were working almost like 16-hour days at the detailing shop while I was taking classes. So like classes with Zoom, so I had my earbuds on while I was working on cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learned a lot about cars then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's like my second passion.
Really?
Yeah,
What's your favorite car?
BMWs.
Okay.
I had a BMW for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you tell me my ideal vehicle is a Porsche GT3 RS.
Good taste. Very good taste.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
One
Yeah.
day I want to afford it.
Yeah, inshallah, you will. And then you're doing all this while you're trying to pass your classes. And I mean, clearly you did because you're graduating this year.
Yes.
How are you able to balance that? Like, for me, school is so stressful. And I mean, I always worked while I was going to school, but 16-hour days and like physical labor, that's different.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I don't know what I was doing back then.
Yeah.
It was just something to keep me busy. Right. School was sort of really boring for me at first. Right. Not knowing anybody. So St. Thomas was nice in a way that it kind of really showed me the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, and like that's why I shifted my major from like I was first doing accounting and finance, and I was like, I really enjoy entrepreneurship. Like this is my lifestyle. Most of these things we're talking about in class, I already know it.
Good choice.
So like, why not just major in it? So when I shifted my major, I got really close to some of the professors at St. Thomas. And then like when I was running my business, I would just reach out to them and ask like, hey, this is what I'm going on. Like what suggestions would you have? And then another thing was I would take the class assignments and then put it into real world practice. So like when the professor teaches something in class, I'm like, okay, how does that really work in real life? Good. So I'll take that concept from class and then try to implement it in the real world. If it didn't work, then I'll come back to the professor and be like, it's not really working. Like what other like suggestions do you have to kind of navigate this? Yeah. So it was like a practical project for me. So that's why I chose entrepreneurship.
Wow. And you made the right choice because I can tell it's your passion. I can tell you're really good at it. And I love how you're able to amplify the skills that you use in your classes and take that into real life and compare it to like what works and what doesn't work. And another thing that I really love that you said towards the beginning was how you're okay with failure.
Yeah.
And, you're 22 and you're already on your third business venture, but it's something to be proud of. And it's okay if certain things don't work out because you learned a lot of lessons. What do you feel like has been the biggest lesson that you've learned thus far? And I know there's going to be many more lessons to have come because you have a long journey ahead of you, but a long, great journey. But what are some lessons that you've learned so far?
I think the biggest one was just do it. Right? Like a lot of the times I was internalizing a lot of the things in my head, like thinking about all the potential outcomes that would come out of certain things. And then one of the things that I mainly realized that really changed my perspective was we can't really control the outcome, right? We can just control like what we put into it. Yeah. And like, just that mindset of just doing it or not really expecting like something big to come out of it. Like as long as you're enjoying the process and just genuinely putting in your effort, it will eventually pay out. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. So now tell me how we transitioned into Bluehorn.
Yeah, so as I say, like when I was running the detailing, I was heavily reliant on energy drinks. As you can imagine, like 16-hour days. Plus I was working night shifts too to like just pay for my bills and stuff like that. I realized the negative effects of like energy drinks. I think the jitters, first of all. Like I would get the concentration, right? The energy is there, but the side effects were really, really devastating. Yeah. So when I sold my detailing business, I actually had the opportunity to go back to Somalia, spend time with my family for the longest time, connect with people who I haven't been with for the longest time. And like in Somalia, it was a family ritual for us to wake up every morning, go to our grandma's house, connect with everybody, and then drink tea. So like the first thing we would start the day off was drinking tea. And like I realized like there was good energy that I got from that, but also like the cultural aspect of it. Yeah. Like being around my grandmother was one of the most impactful things for me so far. Like learning about who I am, like what my grandparents did for a living, what my great 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 grandfather did for a living.
Yeah.
Right. And I just realized like there was something that necessarily like we had as a culture and like other people would benefit from knowing. So after that, I think I went to study abroad in Europe, had the chance to travel to 12 European countries.
Wow.
And then my little side project was I would go to tea shops, try different teas, and then I would just walk up to like somebody who's just sitting there, ask about like the tea experience. And one of the things I realized was like tea was a social beverage that brought people together. Like this nostalgia of like...
It's a universal love language.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would just resonate with it immediately. And yeah, then came back to Minnesota, had something to do. I was like, now I don't have a business. What else can I do? Start another business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started Bluehorn Tea, and then yeah, we named our product Shaah because Somali people call it Shaah.
Yeah.
Right. It is an authentic Somali tea because like most of our ingredients are from Kenya. So like the same tea you would drink in Somalia is the same tea that we put in a package.
Okay.
So we want people to like have that nostalgia of being in Somalia.
I'm gonna smell it while you're like chatting, but keep going. Tell us about like what's the ingredients in a typical Somali tea.
So in a typical Somali tea, there's Kenyan black tea. Then you grind the ginger, you grind cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves.
Oh, I can smell it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just mixing those ingredients and as a ready to drink item.
Wow.
Talk more about it.
Wow.
What do you smell?
I definitely smell the cardamom, and that's my favorite. The cloves and the cardamom is what makes tea for me.
Yes.
And the cinematic aroma. It smells very fresh. And I'm reading the package here, and I love how you include in the cover, it says health benefits, energy, focus, and immunity.
Yes.
Which is very true. I mean, obviously I'm from the East African Somali culture. So I grew up on Somali tea, and I agree. I feel like starting my day, or if I need a little pick me up during my work days, a nice cup of Shaah really helps me going without making me feel drained or those jitters or a crash, you know, especially compared to coffee. And I love coffee too, but you get a crash after. This doesn't give you that, which is like amazing. And I see here you have the ginger as well. Oh, I got everything. Yeah.
So we wanted to create like an authentic Somali tea.
And thank you for making it. It's the like powder.
Yeah. So it is like, so one of the things we realized was for you to get an authentic Somali tea, you had to go to a coffee shop. And like for people who necessarily are not around this community or like do not know where to get an authentic Somali tea, we wanted to just make it as easy for them to make it at home. So all you need is just boiling hot water, add like 1 tablespoon of it, add sugar, and then you got your Somali tea. Yes,
that's so true, because you're right. It's very hard for, I mean, it's easy access for us, but everyone wants Somali tea. And especially if like you live in Minnesota, you're from Minnesota, and you're, you know, non-Somali or non-East African, everyone's always asking me, Yusra, where can I get Somali tea from? And it's nice that you can just make it at home now. So this is amazing. I love it. So when did you start this? What year? How has it been going? Like, what are some obstacles that you felt like, or challenges that you went through?
Okay, so we started in June of 2023 as like a beverage tea company. So one of the first things I wanted to make it was even go one step farther and make it a beverage like as a can. Right? Like the same way you would drink Arizona is the same way I wanted to make like Somali tea as convenient for everybody else, with even milk included. So we wanted to make milk tea as like Somali Shaah. Then like one of the biggest challenges was the amount of capital we needed to actually make that like a reality. Like I started doing it in a small scale. It worked. It got like people's attention was there. People were more interested in it. But to scale it, we had to have a lot more capital, a lot more facilities, and we didn't have access to those things. So I decided to go back to St. Thomas, finish my last semester, because I spent the last 3.5 years trying to graduate. And I was like, one more semester it's not going to kill me. Right. So I went back to St. Thomas, finished my last semester. And then January of this year, I started working full time on it. And through school, I think I realized that there is a certain part of our culture in the process of making tea. Right? Like when our parents used to wake up early in the morning, especially my sisters, I have a lot of sisters, by the way.
Mashallah.
Right, so
I can tell. I don't know how, but I can tell when someone has a lot of sisters.
Yeah. So like it was that family part where like somebody wakes up, makes the tea. It's like the smell that fills up the house. Like you're in a Somali household early in the morning when you wake up and they're brewing tea.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually incorporate that aspect of it and like share it with everybody else. And the best way of doing that was just making a blend. So I sourced the ingredients from Kenya. I have a warehouse in Hopkins, Minnesota now where I'm actively making it myself. So I'm mixing the blend, like grinding all the ingredients, mixing together. And so far, honestly, I've been grateful.
Yeah.
Right? People are interested. People are buying it. TikTok has been the platform to launch a business so far. And yeah, now we're making the transition into retail stores. So we want to be in as many halal stores as possible.
Yes. And are you currently in any stores right now?
Yeah. Right now, I think you can buy it in the Hopkins halal stores.
Okay.
Yep. The Sambusa grocery. That's where you can find it.
That's amazing. Mashallah. Congratulations. I'm so excited. I think this is an amazing business venture, but more and so, you have a story and you have like a tied connection to this. It's not just like a business idea that's like, oh, I need to make money. It's like, no, like with every blend and package, like it's made by you. And this ties all the way back to our ancestors, and the fact that you're able to share it with people outside of our community, make it easy, like accessible, especially with the Somali diaspora and like our Somali, youth who haven't been able to go back home. And I'm sure they know what Somali tea is, but like this is authentic. So this is amazing.
Thank you.
What can we expect next?
Honestly, more Somali things. So we want to like, one of the things about kind of having this company was like, by the way, like Bluehorn, if you really think about it, like the blue horn of Africa.
Yeah.
Like that was the inspiration behind it. Like Somalia has like the blue flag.
Yeah.
I can also see you wearing in the blue colors.
I did wear the blue.
Right? Yeah. And like Somalia also has the longest coastline in Africa. Right? So sharing different aspects of our culture with the rest of the world. And like another thing is just changing the narrative that people have of Somalia.
Yeah.
Like I want most people to see us more than what they see on the social media or like on the news.
The propaganda. Yeah.
So just being that, not even being the face of like a different identity kind of that's being associated with Somalia, but like just a positive light.
Yeah. And that's what this platform is for at Eat and Talk, is to, give a platform to people like you to share the positive light, because there is so much negative and dark biases about our community. And I love to show that we have so much greatness and excellence. So what were some of the opinions when non-Somali and Somali both got to try your tea?
I think one of the first things was like the smell. Like I think you
got
the same reaction.
Wow. Yeah.
I think like that's what draws a lot of people in before even trying it. And then with the few pop-up events so far I've had, and like with the few like people who bought it, I think a lot of people are reaching out to specifically tell me like, yo, do you know how easy it is to make this?
Yeah.
Like most Somali people will like wake up, get the
you gotta grind it. I literally do that every morning, where like I get the cloves and the cardamom, have to grind it, or like maybe if I have time on the weekends, like I'll do all of that, but it still takes a lot of time. Yeah.
And it's actually expensive too, where like if you're buying a cup of Somali tea, it's like $4 or something like that. Right? So,
and the American places or the newer place now is like $7-8. Yeah.
So like that was one aspect of it where like I have one like this thing that keeps me going. It's like the Somali mom who told me like, mashallah, like now I don't even have to worry about making any of the things. I think she buys it like 3 or 4 times. I think she was my biggest supporter. She buys more than anybody else.
Wow.
She just buys it consistently. She's like, yeah, I like this. And like, because it's like 25 servings, she's like, oh, it doesn't even last me that, because she makes it 3-4 times a day.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, so
look
like,
at you making Somali mothers' lives easier, and families. Like that's huge. Yeah.
I think that's what keeps me going too. Like just knowing, like, I think like one of the times where like when you feel like nothing is really going, or like you're not making any progress, or like people are not noticing you, I just see her comment, like she has my number. And she texts me like, hey, do you have any more stuff? Yeah, and like I deliver it personally to her. It's like that satisfaction I get from like just making that thing possible for her.
Yeah. That's huge. And I hope that's going to be the momentum to help keep you going. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot more, positive feedbacks like that
thank you.
as people like get to know that. And inshallah, like you're going to be in a lot more halal groceries. And I'm sure you are, because like you said, you are making it so much easier for people to make tea, and as well as like halal market owners and grocery market owners. So I'm super excited to see like where this journey, will take you.
Absolutely.
Is there any like pop-up events or anything where we hopefully can see you at sometime this year?
Yeah, hopefully. I'm thinking of doing a pop-up event around the Carmel and 24 area.
Okay.
So I think for those of you who are watching, just watch out for one days in the summer. You're gonna see me in a small booth with like my stuff there.
Good.
Yeah,
as
just
you
selling
should.
tea.
Yeah.
And then like the other thing is our online. Like right now we want to promote a lot of like direct orders, so we can get like more customer feedback. Right? I still believe my product is not perfect, but based on the feedback that people give us,
it's perfect to me. Yeah. And so you have a website, BHTEAS, that's BHTEAS.com.
Yep.
And so people can go ahead and order for you. And you guys, this is local. Like, I love it. I love how it says Minnesota on here, like Hopkins, Minnesota, the address. Yep. Like, it's so refreshing to see that. I'm glad that, you outsource the ingredients from back home and then you're making it at home. Like, that's super cool. Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We always love to end the episode with, what's one piece of advice that you have for any of our viewers that are watching this today, and something that you can encourage them, whether it is through journey of entrepreneurship or it could just be their personal journey?
So I think a lot of people reached out and say like they wanted to start a business, especially the Fox 9 interview.
Yeah.
And one of the
Oh my God, sorry. Can we pause before you even like answer my question? You were on the news. Like, can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
Like, how was that?
Honestly, I think that's the thing that really brought out, or like put my word out there. Right. And just a lot of people saw me and say that, oh my God, there's a Somali kid on Fox 9.
That was me, y'all. I was one of them. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is so cool. He's talking about tea. Like, yeah.
I think like that has been a positive light in terms of like just motivating me and motivating other people to be out there and like to get started and just do whatever it takes and not like take the feedback of people.
Yeah.
And like one thing I would pass on by saying is that the person who like, I don't know, like a lot of people would discourage you from doing certain things.
Yeah.
And like just give you different suggestions of how you should do certain things. But you're the one who knows what you want to do. So the first step to starting a business is just convince yourself that you want to do it. Without like that, like without you convincing yourself first that you actually want to do something, and like you're always gonna get discouraged. And honestly, like nobody really knows what they're doing in this world, right? Everybody's just trying a bunch of different things until something works.
Very much so.
Right? So just be curious, right? Just try different things. And then eventually something is going to work out for you. Yeah.
Well, that's so amazing. And I'm so glad that you were able to try this. And I'm sure that you're going to have a lot more business ventures. This is not the end of the journey, inshallah. But I'm really excited to go home tonight and make a cup of tea.
Absolutely.
And finish off the rest of my emails. And this is just like an idea, but like I love the smell of Shaah. Like if someone would make like a Shaah scented candle, I would love it.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, I'm gonna run with it right now. You have the sources. So thank you so much. And we always love to say that we'd love to see you and invite you back on our podcast again someday to kind of like get an update about how your journey went. But we will definitely stay in touch, and we'll definitely see a lot more of Ayub Hassan, inshallah, and congratulate him on his graduation. And please check out his website, in which we will link into our both our channels and our Instagram, as well as his Instagram pages, and follow him, connect with him on LinkedIn and everywhere that you can, because he is a very intelligent young man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you guys so much for watching Eat and Talk, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.